All right, let's get right to it. It is Saturday. It's November 13th. What about 10 a.m. this morning? Of course, we're talking about the snow system. This is a clipper system now, and as we all know, these clipper systems can be finicky, number one, because they usually produce narrow but fairly intense bands of snow just north of the storm track. And then, of course, they're usually quick moving too, which means, yes, they can drop snow at a pretty high rate, but for a short period of time. And that would hold down the snow totals. But what you're looking at now, this is the infrared satellite loop. And the reason why I'm showing you this is you can see the clouds now streaking into the Dakotas now and starting to nose into western Minnesota. And this is a pretty intense jet streak now moving into North Dakota and South Dakota. You can see it here on this infrared satellite loop. And a little bit of a twist now occurring over northern North Dakota. That's the clipper that's going to race southeast towards the Twin Cities Metro in southern Minnesota. Track of this clipper is going to be critical in determining who gets the significant snow and who doesn't. Going to be a sharp gradient to the snow totals, the way it appears. And my fear is that, excuse me, that sharp gradient is going to set up near or right over the Twin Cities Metro, as usual, right? All right, here's your moisture channel loop, the water vapor imagery. You can see a dry slot now punching into the Dakotas. That's because of that jet streak, that strong river of air at 20 to 30,000 feet that's nosing into the Dakotas. And it's going to be on the edge of that strong area of wind is where the significant snow is going to develop. And that's exactly what is happening. Here it is on regional radar. Already snowing at a good clip now in eastern North Dakota. And here's that little bit of a twist now with the clipper, with the low pressure system over northwestern North Dakota that's heading southeast. I think it's going to ride just near or south of the I-94 corridor. The track of the storm will be right around there. That would place the most significant snow right in this area here over the next 24 hours. All right. Speaking of that jet streak, this is what I'm talking about. Here are the winds now at 20 to 25,000 feet. This is at 500 millibars, and this is a pretty critical parameter that we're looking at right now. Because whenever you're right under these strong winds, you usually get a dry slot. And this is the problem that we're going to run into now this evening. You can see this is right around 7 or 8 o'clock this evening now. Look at how that dry slot or that jet streak noses into southwestern Minnesota. That tells me that right about near the Minnesota River, near Mankato, or somewhere between Mankato and the Twin Cities, there's going to be a dry slot that comes in, which will effectively cut off the precipitation. And then usually now on the nose or left front quad of a jet streak is where you get the most intense lift. So there's going to be a pretty sharp gradient in the snows near or in the Twin Cities Metro. Long story short, the further north you go into the Twin Cities Metro, the more likely you're going to get significant snow. And then, of course, the further south and west you go from or in the Twin Cities Metro, that's where you're going to get less snow and maybe even a mix and probably some dry air that'll infiltrate into this precipitation shield this evening. And again, it has a lot to do with that jet streak. And then it finally sags south, the jet streak does, as we get into late Sunday night. That means, or late tonight, that means that there should be some snow over much of eastern Minnesota and western Wisconsin, as we will be on the left front quad of that jet streak. So yeah, these jet streaks are important. You're going to hear me talking a lot about them as we go through the winter season. By the way, that's why, as far as the snow, and I've sent you this map, I tweaked it, I massaged it just a little bit, but really it hasn't changed much from yesterday. This storm is evolving kind of as expected. I do think 1 to 3 inches of snow is going to be pretty common across the Twin Cities Metro, less on the southwest side, more on the northeast side of the metro. And then as you go southwest into the Mankato, Rochester areas, that Highway 14 corridor, my gut feeling is that a mix or maybe even a little bit of dry air is going to get entrained into this precipitation shield. And that'll effectively lower the snow totals as you go west and south of the core Twin Cities Metro. And yes, western Wisconsin, Eau Claire, the I-94 corridor there, I'm pretty confident in at least a 1 to 3 inch snowfall. And most of it's going to stick. But of course, I sent you the information yesterday, and this hasn't changed. And the information are the temperatures, not only air temperature, but surface temperatures and then subsurface temperatures. They're all going to be near or above 32 degrees. So that should certainly help in melting the snows, especially on the heavily traveled surfaces. You know the drill as far as that's concerned. Although I do think snow is going to stick in almost every surface as we go through the overnight period, we're going to be melting from underneath. So that's going to help out on any jobs that you have over the next 24 hours. Okay, this is radar now over Minnesota and western Wisconsin, and look at how the snow streaks into the Twin Cities metro in eastern Minnesota by about 6 p.m. So the timing graph that I sent you yesterday, I think is going to hold true. This is when I would expect some of the first flakes to fly. We'll be right around the dinner hour this evening. And then, of course, the snow will increase in intensity so that by about 8 or 9 p.m., that's probably when the height of the storm is going to occur, somewhere in that 8 p.m. to midnight hour. And here's that dry area and maybe even perhaps a little bit of mix over south central Minnesota, which would be the Mankato, heading east towards Rochester. And then we still continue with snow into the midnight hour. This is midnight now. Still snow, but it's going to start to let up here over eastern Minnesota. Still snowing pretty good in western Wisconsin at midnight. And then, of course, by sunrise tomorrow, I think this will be out of our hair. So the timing, most important time periods are going to be from about 8 p.m., I think, until about midnight or 1 a.m. across eastern Minnesota and western Wisconsin. Now, as we zoom in a little bit closer here into our local area here, the St. Cloud, Rochester, Mankato, Eau Claire, Twin Cities metro region. Of course, here's the Twin Cities metro right here. We zoom in and we look at radar. Here comes the snow now, so that by about 5 p.m. or so, I think we're going to get the first flakes to start falling. And then here's that sharp gradient. Now, this is the rapid refresh guidance. So this isn't the NAM computer model guidance. It's the rapid refresh. But look at how the rapid refresh is showing a sharp gradient in the snow right across probably the southwestern Twin Cities suburbs on south into the Mankato and Rochester areas. This is right around 8 p.m., about the height of the storm. And then look at this, right around 10 p.m., which is when I think the heaviest snow would fall in eastern Minnesota and portions of western Wisconsin. Look at this pretty intense mix of some heavy snow, maybe even some sleet. I'm not expecting much in the way of freezing rain. I think temperatures are going to be too warm for that at the surface. But still, that mixture heading up, even nosing into portions of the Twin Cities metro, which would cut down on the snow totals, especially as you head into the southwestern sections of the Twin Cities metro. And a deviation in the storm track of 20 to 30 miles is going to make a huge difference. So we're going to need to monitor radar closely here as we go through the late afternoon and evening hours, because the rapid refresh guidance is showing a pretty heavy band of snow at around 10 or 11 p.m. right across the Twin Cities metro in the Mississippi River Valley, heading east to Eau Claire. So long story short, I think if you're in the Mankato and heading in towards the Rochester area, I think you're pretty safe from the heaviest band of snow. But I'm worried that even in the Twin Cities metro and then on east to Eau Claire, St. Cloud areas too, I think these are the areas that are really going to be tricky to predict here, because the axis of heaviest snow could form later this evening right across that I-94 corridor. So we'll have to monitor that here as we go through time. Then, like I had mentioned, by sunrise tomorrow, this is at about 4 a.m. tomorrow morning, snow should be exiting Minnesota and winding down in western Wisconsin. So anyway, a lot to talk about. We'll send you out an update here as I watch radar and monitor radar later this afternoon and evening. I'll probably send you an update probably sometime around 6 p.m. this evening. And if warranted, we would probably make another video. Don't think we need that, but we'll see. If things change, I'll try to send out another video, but otherwise, you know what to expect. Good luck this evening and overnight. Take care.